All right, a question came in about number 4 on worksheet 2-7. And so here it is. It's about a bicycle company that wants to make bikes. And you can see that their profit, it says that they sell the bikes for $200 or for $600. Now, both start with a T, so that's a little confusing. So I'm going to go with the V for that one. So the Traveler, so that is going to be 200 times the number of bikes sold plus and I might want to change this, 600 for the Tourister. And I guess you could say that this is your profit if somebody gives you V and T. So if you tell me how many Travelers I sell and how many Touristers I sell, I could tell you the maximum profit. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to maximize that. That's what the last sentence says, is like, how do we maximize revenue? Oh, maybe you want to make this R for revenue. Okay. All right, so there's our maximum revenue. We're trying to maximize this thing. Now, how do we do that? We find the constraints. What are we constrained by in this company? We only have 300 frames. And if you look, that means that we can only build 300 bikes. So some of our constraints would be however many Travelers you build plus how many Touristers you build, that's going to have to be less than or equal to 300. I can't build more than 300 because that's the only amount of frames I have. Also, there's a time constraint. The people that work for me, I can only put them to work for 360 hours. Now it takes, what did they say? Assembly and painting is 1 hour for a Traveler, but 3 hours for a Tourister. So 1 hour for a Traveler plus 3 hours for a Tourister, that's going to have to be less than 360. And these are my constraints. Now, you could also say that Travelers, you at least have to do 0 or more. I don't want negative numbers. And Touristers, I also want greater than or 0. So that just puts us in quadrant 1. I could use their graph paper. Let's try. Let's see how it works. So if I try to graph this, then I could tell you that V, we'll put V on this side and T on this side, that V is 300. They could make 300 and none of the other. That's possible. I'm just really finding the X and Y intercepts. So when T is 0, V is 300. When V is 0, T is 300. And there's a beautiful line. Oh, that was a horrible line. And there's a line going through those 2 points, right? And it's everything below. So we would shade everything down below. Also the other way, V could also be 360, which these look like they go about there. And T would be 0, or the other way around. T could be, they could make 120 of these. And so that would go like that. And that's our second equation. If you want, I can call this V plus 3T is less than or equal to 360. And this is V plus T is less than or equal to 300. So people know what I graphed. And here, if you shade below that, this is our feasible region. This is where all our answers would lie. Now, the answer to a maximized problem is going to be one of the corners. So the good news is I know some of these corners, like I know this one. They could build nothing. I doubt that's going to maximize profit, right? They could build no V's and 120 T's because they have enough man hours to do that. They could build, here would be 300 Travelers and no Touristers. And last but not least is this intersection, which I would like to find. Right now, if you notice, my graph is not very good. Looks like it's around 200 and 100 maybe, but I'm not sure. So I would probably use a different system or a different way to solve. I would use a system of equations. I need to find where these two lines intersect, right? So why not take V plus 3T equals 360 at this point? And I'm going to change the sign on this one. Negative V minus T equals negative 300. And this cancels, and I get 2T equals 60, so T equals 30. So I can tell you that that point is when T equals 30. So that means that my guess was way off, but that also means if their total that they could make was 300, then this would have to be 270. So that would be our last point. Now, one of these will give us a maximum revenue. Now, how do I find that out? I just take all these points and I plug them in the revenue and see which one's the best. Now, we know 0, 0 is out. If I put in 120 for T, then I'm going to get 600 times 120, and hopefully my calculator fires up, because off my head, I don't know what that is. Let's see if I use my phone real quick while that's working. Where's my calculator on this thing? All right, there it is. 600 times 120 is 72,000. So this will give me $72,000 of revenue. How about the next point would give me $60,000 of revenue. So right now that 120 is looking good. But what about that last one? I can finally use my calculator. Right? Close. I don't know what that means. Didn't have time to read it. But what was it? It was 200 times 270. That's for the travelers. Plus 300, I think is what it was, times 30. Oh, did I put 0 there? That's supposed to be 30, right? Or sorry, 600 times 30. My bad. 600 times 30. That would get us $72,000. So there you go. My feasible region gave me 2 answers for maximum value. You could either make this or this. Both would be profitable. So I feel like there's my 2 answers. I could make 0 travelers and 120 touristers, or I could make 270 travelers and 30 touristers. Wouldn't matter. Those would be my maximum profit. Hope that helps. Stay happy.